Okay, and so this is a rebuttal to, or this is a reply actually, rebuttal reply, same thing I reckon, to Wish of the Jellyfish, and I got a long message and a couple comments from him, and um, he says, "Oh, this is not an attack," and this is not an attack either for me to post. And this is for Daymona71 to understand as well. This is not an attack when I post. Please understand that I get a lot of long letters, and it's far easier for me to answer in video form. And generally, if somebody sends me a private message, and I love getting long letters, and I would reply with long letters, but it's just that I have so many of them. It's far easier time-wise for me to answer in video format. So, anyways, my concept on science and and in general, gurus, is I've reached a point where I take that information in, and then I make my decisions about it, and that source includes science, because when it comes down to science, I don't fully like just go trusting science. First off, we have the whole wreck of what our quote unquote science recommends as a um, recommends as what we eat, which is a complete lie. I mean, read Nourishing Traditions, read what our establishment and see. I don't know. I didn't come out of the standard American diet. I don't really pay attention to that stuff, and I never have. I've always done my own thing from a very, very early age, as I've said, age 13, and I really, even before that, my what I was drawn to, and my mom says this, is when I was supposedly on the standard American diet, I really even wasn't, because if my family went to Carl's Jr., for example, I went right to the salad bar. I didn't eat the other stuff, and not that the Carl's Jr. salad bar is certainly a step above. I don't even think they even have salad bars anymore. That's how pathetic people are. But anyways, so what science does, or what science says, and there's levels of science. There's the sort of a level of science that everybody pays attention to because of the television and the news, which is why I threw my television away. Is because it's all lies, it's all bullshit, it's all the feed from Illuminati, the propaganda of how they want to keep you sick, of whatever, you know. And so to me, there's levels of science, of people who call themselves science. There's sort of the big lobbyist created, who funds it kind of lying bullshit. That's kind of the big one that's up on top. The pharmaceutical companies, the oil companies, the just all the sort of Illuminati powers that be. And then as you get way down in those levels of science, and there's maybe some uh, maybe some university studies that are slightly done more objectively to have like a little more credibility or something like that. And then when you get like maybe way down to the bottom, which nobody pays attention to, you have people like Weston A. Price, who funded their own stuff, who wrote their own stuff, who's completely created from their own genuinely wanting to find out type of science. And so, in this, in my private message that um, Wish of the Jellyfish sent to me, and not, I didn't take it as attacking. I just feel like I have to get these out there, and because it's been dominating sort of my consciousness, is he says sort of that machines should be put to the test of science, which is just simply, here's my point of view on it. A great example of a machine that science tore apart was invented in the 1940s, and even today, a lot of people don't know about it because it was so radically. I think this guy was actually jailed. Royal Rife is his name, and the machine is the Rife machine, which was based on um, using frequencies and dialing in specific frequencies to eradicate specific conditions, diseases, conditions, whatever you want to call them. So, anyways, that's where I stand with science. And even with science, myself, I work with machines. I work with synthesizers. I work with um, all levels of electronic music generating devices. In fact, I'm sort of there's probably not a lot of people that are on my level with that, but science has created these sort of laptop computer versions of some of these machines that are as hardware, and sort of says, oh, they're the kind of the same thing. And it's just like anybody that spend time around the actual analog devices and even the digital ones, they're not the same. They're not the same at all. And that's especially true of things like reverb effects and stuff like that. It's not the same. And I'll be the judge of that in my case. And in the case of the Ionic foot bath, for me, I don't have any need to go to science. Like maybe, and this is even the way that I'm handling my HIV condition, is because honestly, from a scientific point of view, there's probably a lot of people that know way more about the actual science and detail of HIV. I slowly learned some of this stuff, and there's so many differing opinions and stuff like that. And I don't, for the way that I created myself to be in this body, in this life, in this time, there is just a kind of a DIY thing that I do. And I sort of take this information, and kind of the way I worked in 2008 when I found truth, and this is my advice to anybody who's trying to kind of maybe break through some doors, is if you don't trust your intuition, then go ahead and put full faith in somebody who looks like who's going to get results. And in my case, I met Truth Calkins through getting into the sort of flow of the David Wolf tribe, and not that I have anything with David Wolf, but just in terms of this sort of humble purity, realness kind of thing, and just more of a like-minded thing and stuff like that, I went to Truth, and for years I followed exactly what Truth told me, and now I'm sort of emerging from the woods. A lot of great things have happened to me, especially with my brain chemistry, and now I'm kind of at a point where I really want to do my own thing, because it's just, there's so many things that are unique about me, that it's like Zach from Secrets of Longevity just recently put up a video about love and relationships, which I know the information that he provides in there, it does apply to most people, and actually the majority of people, but it does not apply to me, because I am just a little bit different in terms of who I am, and relationships have been a lot of trouble for me. And this is mainstream information, and this is why you should sort of discover your uniqueness. So, and I would actually like to do a video at some point about love and relationships, because I have a completely different slant on that, and it's just me. That's all there is to it. And I'm not trying to change you into me. I'm trying to show you that I'm very, very, very different from people. And if you don't acknowledge your uniqueness, then you're going to get into this issue where you wind up denying yourself, and then you sort of get into this emotional shadows, baggage stuff that gets stored inside of you and becomes a health issue, because you haven't paid attention to yourself on a deep, deep, deep level. So, and then on the Ionic foot bath, just to be a little more clear, and my videos are a stream of thought, and while they may be well thought out before I actually come in and start spewing my crap, because they are a stream of thought, I maybe forget to say some stuff. And I do want to point out that when I talked to Andrea the night before, and when I got there, I told her about this whole, she goes, oh yes, it does change color with the water, which as I got there, I was thinking, and all my intellect on this did not come from my colonic therapist. This is my, there was little input in her. I'm not even sure that she knows about ionic minerals. She just kind of does her own little thing, and there's kind of a whole way about her that she sort of just lives in the standard world, except when it comes to colon health and some of that stuff. On the colon health, she is a complete expert. She comes from a line of, her mother was a colonic therapist as well. And so there's people that, they just kind of do their specific thing, you know? And so anyways, so what we did was, she goes, okay, well, if you're going to bring the camera in, I'll just have the Ionic, the device in the water going. And I don't know if you could tell the shade of it, but the machine had been going for quite some time before I got there. And the water was a slight tinge of sort of a rusty color to it. So if all of that eventual stuff came from nowhere, why didn't it do it while it was sitting in there by itself? It's having a reaction to the metal, you know. And so I think in the understanding of this, the word ionic, that's how things like silver and stuff like that is created, is using an electrical current. So what the details of the science are is unimportant to me, because when I put my feet in, then all of a sudden something else started happening. And something started happening very heavily, you know, as well as the relationship of the colors and all of that kind of stuff related to conditions that I know I have in my body. So in my case of where I was, there's no reason for me to care, to go to science. And it's not often that I do go to science, to be quite frank. I tend to pay more attention to health gurus, people like just all of them. I won't name names because the list is always short, and it's kind of insulting to some people that are also on the list, and I can't recall everybody that I pull from it. And another big one is Donna Gates. So not to mention the fact that as soon as I started doing those ionic foot baths, the colonics started happening more as well. And so that's just my take on that. So the musical tip, another krautrock selection, and I do want to get on with this one because this band is super important. The name of them is Noi, and the song is Hero, and this is a super important historic track that a lot of people who don't pay attention to music and don't adore music the way I do don't know this, that the track Hero, as created on the album Noi 75 by the two members of Noi, Michael Roter and Klaus Dinger, as well as the producer Connie Plank. This track would change the whole world, and especially, mostly alternative music. First off, the title of the track, let me digress slightly, is that David Bowie had come to a point in his career of doing so many drugs and of just being completely lost that he sort of took a sabbatical into Germany, into Berlin, and was thusly, just being a music freak, started listening to all kinds of krautrock. And so his album Hero, as well as the album that was after that called Low, and the album after that called Lodger, he had, just being somebody that was creative, even though he was taking a vacation, was going to basically put together, a bunch of krautrock musicians and make the new Bowie albums. Well, it was kind of hard for him to do that, first off, because a lot of the krautrockers kind of had an attitude, which I do too. You're a pop star, why would I want to work with you, basically. Although I think that, some of them were maybe a little more open-minded, and I don't even know if that's open-minded. I think it's kind of whatever. I think it's compromising your artistic values myself. But, so what happened is the song Hero, David Bowie, of course, Michael Roter in an interview says it's anybody's guess where he got the name from, which is a nice way of saying that he plagiarized it. But anyways, great song. This would influence a lot of British musicians, especially like Joy Division, and and if you listen to Interpol now, you can kind of hear that they sound completely like Noi. So anyways, song is Hero, and interest is total prototype for punk, as it's called, and this is a great song to rebound to. So more information for you on my great, where I come from, which is krautrock.